Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of All Things Anders. I'm Michael.
And I'm Nicole.
And
this is Anders.
Huh?
After bedtime.
That's correct. Welcome to our new channel where we're going to kind of just talk about what makes it work for us. Over definitely the last 3 years, and a lot recently, we've had a lot of people pick our brains about what makes our relationship successful, what we find in each other, compromises we make for each other, how we support each other. And, now we're in a space with the quarantine and, a lot of the slowdown of your business. It
was a complete halt.
Yeah, the screeching halt. And the evolution, I hate the word pivot, the evolution that we've made at CrossFit PHX has really allowed us to, combine forces in a major way. You're now the CEO of All Things Anders.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, she was already that. Now she has an official title. I just speaking for me personally, I feel really blessed in this awkward moment in history to spend all my time with you. I felt like we had a good thing going already. I feel like it's just gotten better since we've combined all parts of our lives now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I think we were headed in that direction, and then the stay-at-home orders just forced it upon us. Mm-hmm. And 3 weeks ago when I said to you, well, this is about as broke as we're ever going to be. What do we want our life to look like? And let's create it. What do we want it to look like? And let's decide and commit to it and move forward.
Well, I think that's like probably the most interesting part of our previous lives before we got together. And I was talking with Jacoby about this last week, in that I've been to the bottom twice.
And I've been at once for sure when I moved across the country to Houston, Texas.
And this ain't it.
No.
No. Very, very brief backstory. I went from playing Division I football at the Air Force Academy to cooking fries at Dairy Queen, and then I finished my bachelor's degree, and then spent 2 weeks living out of my car.
Yeah, and I moved across the country from Milwaukee to Houston. No money, no job. One girlfriend in Houston who had an air mattress that I could sleep on in her living room until I found a job and support myself.
Yeah.
Which took another 3-4 months, because I moved Labor Day weekend of 2008, which was the...
Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly. Right when the housing crisis hit. And then Houston hit that next weekend, got hit with one of their biggest hurricanes in history.
Oh, shit.
So we didn't even have electricity for 11 days the first week that I moved down to Houston.
Jesus.
So no job, no money, no electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like for a lot of people, this is their first life test, and they're discovering a lot about themselves in this moment in time. Their constitution, just like they're being forced to deal with and find a strength that they may not have known they had.
Yes, I actually had a conversation with a girl today where we were talking about how we've used this time to really realign ourselves with our why. And if my dad listens to this, he'd be so proud, but it reminds me of a quote from the Wizard of Oz where he said, and I'm gonna mess up the quote terribly, as I always do.
You guys would be so proud.
But it was, to the effect of, you didn't have to go searching for something that was within you all along.
Yeah.
And that's where she says there's no place like home.
Right.
Like what you are searching for is already there, and it's already a part of who you are. It's just discovering it.
Yeah.
I think right now, if you haven't discovered it, it's a good time to discover what really is your why, focus on what brings you joy.
Yeah, there's something about having it all taken away. Because I don't think, I had this discussion with a lot of people in a lot of different ways about finding your dark place, right? And how that is not something you ever want to necessarily volunteer for, but we're here.
Yeah.
And in that discovery, you get to really acknowledge and become aware of what's truly important.
Yep.
And when you have it all taken away, that's all you can rely upon, right?
Yep.
And that's the only place that your energy can go in a productive way.
Yep.
And I think that's where the value is in this whole quarantine situation.
Yeah.
Like I had a conversation with a guy today who's like, I'm not going back to the bar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go all in on this consulting thing. I'm learning code, blah blah blah, and I'm going to position myself so that I'm not reliant on anyone else coming out of this.
Yep.
And I think that's huge. And
Yeah.
that's a realization that you don't get when you're reliant upon your comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why I've been this transition for me to kind of take on this role for you within CrossFit PHX and for us at CrossFit PHX and all things Anders is because, as these weeks kind of started, I feel like the previous 2 weeks were really hard for me. Like had some days where I was down, and then I really had to sit back and think about the things that were bringing me joy every single day. And that was being able to work out like I'm running again, which I do enjoy, the virtual, classes through CrossFit PHX, I really enjoy, focusing on my nutrition and my health on a daily basis, and then spending time with the kids.
Yeah.
Those are the things that are bringing me the most joy right now during this time, and taking on this role for us now within our family and our business, it aligns perfectly, which brings me joy in this dark place that we're in.
Yeah. Well, I think it was really cool because we did that time audit. We broke our day down into every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And looked at where our time and energy was going.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting about your experience was, going back to what you just said about these last 2 weeks, wrestling with it.
Yep.
As soon as we moved through that exercise, you were
Yep.
like, you know what?
Yep.
I really like this.
Yep. I know.
And it's like, oh. But it was really interesting because, like you said, what you're looking for is right there in front of you.
Yep.
And how often have we gone through, fighting that thing? Masked as something else.
I know.
I should be doing blah, blah, blah. Or,
Totally.
they're doing this and I should be doing that.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, your happiness, your fulfillment, what you really want out of this life is right here in front of you.
It's amazing. It feels good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's not a thanks to me. That's a I think we've arrived at that same frequency.
Yep.
And in the book I just finished reading, The Slight Edge, if you're not familiar, you need to be. He talks about the timeline, right? We live in this microwave society now where we instant gratification and we want it right here, right now. We've been married for over 5 years, and we just got here. You know what I mean? It just took this long.
Yep.
That was our rate of growth.
Yep.
It wasn't going to be any faster.
Yeah.
And it didn't take any longer.
Yeah.
It just took what it took.
Yeah.
And I think people need to. That's a tough pill to swallow if you're not present in the moment.
Oh, well, I mean, I've told you just recently, I know that this was in your vision kind of what you had for us as a couple. You saw me as being capable of handling this. And prior to the last 3 months, I wasn't in the space to take it on. And it's just because my head and my energy was someplace else.
Yeah.
And I got rid of all of that. We'll just call it that negative energy that was in my life.
Yeah.
And now I've been open to, just the growth that I've had as a woman and as a...
It's so funny because, with the various coaches that I've had in the past on the business side, I've been consistently for the last 7 years of brick and mortar entrepreneurship asked, so like, what's missing for you? Like, if you could hire one person, what does it look like? It's like, well, my wife has, she could, but she can't stand me to work with me, and they're like, well, if you asked, it's like,
that wasn't it though.
Not deliberately.
No.
But every time I've been asked that question, I'm like, you're the avatar,
Yeah.
Like,
Well, thank you.
If we're gonna go where we want this thing to go,
Yeah.
Like.
I'll tell you what it was for me. In my mind, financially, I was like, he's out of his mind. I'm going to quit my job, and I was making all that money. Like, I was like, no way. Well, I quit my job on my own last June, and like I said at the beginning, we're as broke as we're going to be. So now, like, I've just everything's aligned, and it makes so much sense now, and so it's just at the timing.
Yeah, well, and I also think, like, subconsciously, we were always positioning ourselves to live below our means, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I discovered a long time ago that money's not the answer, right? Money doesn't solve the problem. Don't get me wrong. I'd much rather be rich than broke.
Yeah.
I don't want to confuse that. But, in my life experience and in a lot of the literature that I subscribe to, happiness and fulfillment have to come first.
Yeah.
The fortune will come second.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it's kind of like the difference between building generational wealth and winning the lottery.
Yep. Yeah.
That slow incremental growth will last forever. You could lose, people win the lottery every day and lose it 3 months later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I think that's on a subconscious level, never mind the day to day, that's what we've been building towards, is that we're on that slow positive trajectory, as opposed to getting lost in the here and now of what we don't have or where we could be or where we should be. Like, those are all cancers to growth.
Right.
And I remember early on in CrossFit PHX, I would look at the guys that had been around for 5, 6, 7 years at the time, and I'm like, oh, we should do that. But we weren't in a position to implement any of those systems.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much other things, like culturally and coaching and process-wise, that had to be put together before we could play at that level.
Yeah.
And now we're in a place between what we're doing with 20%ers and CrossFit PHX and how all of those things are sustainable in the here and now, which I'm super proud of. And now with this realignment and bringing you on board full time in the deal, we are positioned for crushing success when everything's back open. And the awesome part about what you bring to the table, and the thing that I'm super excited about, is to be told no.
Oh, good.
Because I have a million ideas all the time.
Yeah.
And the energy that you bring to the table is you take the one good one of the 100 and bring that down to the ground so that we can take it and run with it, as opposed to the 19 ideas that I have that just stay up in the air and nothing gets done.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
It's gonna be good.
Yep.
You've always been a part of it.
I have. Now I have skin in the game a little bit, I guess, ownership.
Yeah. So if you guys find yourselves in a relationship of any kind, let alone marriage and business partnership, you've got to be able to have patience with each other as you grow, because you're both coming into the equation at different places in your life, and I think that is not something to be overlooked. And at the same time, communicating vulnerably and authentically at all times is paramount. I can't tell you how many times she's cried for me and I've cried for her over the 6 years we've been together. But you just have to be able to do that. It doesn't do you any favors to hold shit in or have things left unsaid.
Agreed.
And whether it doesn't matter what the relationship dynamic is, if you have those two things, patience and communication, you can't do anything but succeed. So
I love you.
I love you too. Here's to all things Anders.
All things Anders.
Yeah. And this is Anders After Bedtime. Later, guys.
See ya.
That was good.
That was fun.